AJ Brown's a dog, but he's not Calvin Ridley. My top four running backs in the league right now, I would say Tony Pollard, Spears.
Absolutely gawking them off. Somebody has to be the contrarian. Nobody is sure where Shedeur Sanders is going to be drafted, but now everybody knows where Cam Ward's going to be drafted because Cam Ward just told us on a Fortnite stream. I'm confused, but now it's all but confirmed that he's going to be a Titan. He was out there lying about Treylon Burks and Calvin Ridley, so he's doing what great quarterbacks do, and that's hype up his future teammates. So we're going to watch those Fortnite clips. I didn't know we are going to be watching Fortnite clips today, but he talks about that. And we're going to listen to the reaction too, and then watch Cam Ward throw a little bit, look at some stats, look at this bum throw. Nah, he's not a bum, but look at this. Have a conversation about Shady McCoy too and his terrible, terrible take about Cam Ward. Let's get right into it. Why do I know that Cam Ward is going to be a Titan, huh?
My top four running backs in the league right now, I would say Tony Pollard, Spears.
Hey man, that boy is not hiding that at all. So those were the top four running backs, and before, because it's okay, it's realistic to say maybe Tony Pollard is on your top four. Hey, Tony Pollard has been a 1,000-yard rusher for the last 3-4 seasons from the last Cowboys season. Now to be in the Titans. Tajay Spears isn't a bad back either. Okay, that's cool. That's funny. That's playful. But this is where we had a problem, right?
Okay, so y'all already said Ridley, Jamar, Justin.
I think Jason Jamar is like the top.
And then for my last one, Treylon Burks. That ain't
Treylon Burks. Treylon Burks. Look, the Hey man, Cam Ward is hilarious. Treylon Burks over 3 seasons has a career total of 700 yards. Yeah, man, he has a career total of 1 touchdown. So that's great. Now it seems like Treylon Burks did have some injuries last year and the year before. I don't keep up with what gosh dang Titans are doing. All right, I don't do it. But let's get into one more lie that he told, because this one was the smoothest. This is the smoothest one.
AJ Brown's a dog, but he's not Calvin Ridley.
Hey, what's that clip with Ant? They got KD, but we got we got Calvin Ridley. You know what I'm saying? They got Jamar Chase, but we got Calvin Ridley. This dude's hilarious. This dude is real life hilarious. Treylon Burks is a top 4 wide receiver, and Calvin Ridley, you know what I'm saying? Sorry, AJ Brown ain't no Calvin Ridley. And that's what the man said. Now, interesting enough, this stream is no longer available. Only way I got to see that was from the clips on Twitter. Shout out to those people for getting me those. And this guy who was live clipping, who was the Mettenberger. So go ahead, show him some love if you want to do that. But clearly, everybody and every single account tweeting out that, hey, we know that Calvin Ridley's top 4 receivers are. We know there's going to be 150 targets to Calvin Ridley. Cam Ward calling Treylon Burks a top 5 wide receiver is so good. He's not even hiding it anymore. So a lot of the people out there are expressing it. And look, it's been no secret. They've been kind of linked here. There's been a conversation. He's been the presumed number 1 pick for months, about a month or 2 at this point. So to be honest with you, there is no surprise here. I think it's funny, a week out, he's kind of having that extra expression, and there he is talking to the more Titan brass there. So it's an interesting conversation to have, a super interesting conversation to have. But after that, just to kind of yap a little bit about that and about really what that means for the draft and really what that means for not Cam Ward, but Shedeur Sanders. It really doesn't mean anything for Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur, I don't think was ever considered the number 1 quarterback except by Mel Kiper. Mel Kiper did say he was the number 1 quarterback at one point, but we won't get into detail there. I think it really just solidifies the lack of cohesion with the rest of the draft, right? And this typically happens. Typically, we know who the presumed first-round pick is, but it just, to be honest with you, the end of the college season, I think that's what I want to talk about, because we we talked in another video about how Shador Sanders like fall seems to be kind of out of nowhere, right? He by all accounts has done really positive stuff in the offseason, right? I know he doesn't throw at the combine, but he throws at the pro day. People say, hey, there's no bad throw that you can point out. There's no, there's nothing like this, right? There's no and I don't know. I think this guy. I think he was just. What's it called? Warming up or whatever. So I think that's funny. So like, when we talk about who really should be number one, I'm fine with it being Cam Ward. But when we talk about the reasons Shador is falling, and the reason why Cam Ward is almost being solidified, and people like Jackson Dart are being right, it's never consistent. And I would love to just sit here and whine and complain and, oh my God, this is so bad for Shador. But I mean, hey, I'm gonna just make videos and expose, the truth. And the truth is that Cam Ward and Shador haven't changed as players. Shador, by the end of the season, was looked at as a top 5 pick. I mean, that was consensus. That wasn't me. That's what the people were saying. He was looked at as a first round, clearly pick, XYZ elemental P. Cam Ward also looked as a first round pick, maybe one of the top 2 quarterbacks. But again, a lot of your NFL people only watch NFL, and that's fine. But the last remembrance that we have of Cam Ward was choking away a clear shot at the playoffs. Like, they had one of the highest. Right now, it was the defense. Let's not get that twisted. It was the defense, right? But there were times and situations and weird crossbody throws and unneeded interceptions and weird decisions that could, if we're going to put the same magnifying glass, do the same thing that they're doing with Shador Sanders. I have a slew of reasons that I can add in a tribute to Cam Ward. And when I say that, people start calling me a Cam Ward hater. I love Cam Ward. Cam Ward plays one of the most exciting brands of football of all time. But to be truthful, he's a gunslinger. To be truthful, he wouldn't be the number 1 pick in a bunch of other quarterback draft classes, right? So we have to be honest about what we're seeing. And Shador happens to be a victim, right? And it's going to fall after doing nothing. No negative news has come out. He's the same product he was when they were saying he was a top pick at the end. And then Cam Ward is just being solidified. He's the same product that he was. I mean, I'd argue that his pro day probably helped him, though. I'd argue that his pro day doubled up and was like, oh yeah, that boy's super nice. That boy's super nice. And then Jackson Dart is someone who's flying up draft boards with barely anything. Now, you can say that that's unfair because you do have to give him the Reese's Senior Bowl. So give Jackson Dart credit there where credit is due, because he did do some really good work and kind of stood out where people like Jalen Milroe probably could have as well. But anyway, going on and pushing forward, people are putting together these spider charts. And here's that spider chart: the success rate up top, the EPA per play, the explosiveness, early down EPA, late down EPA, was that pose EPA? What did that say? Sorry, pass EPA, rush EPA, all basically maxed out from Cam Ward. EPA lost turnovers, like literally awful. Sack rate, all like basically awful. Now, do you take all of this? I don't know. I will say that, Jalen Hurts is even worse, but like this is did I not just tell y'all that? That's literally who I just described. Somebody. Well, I got to talk about the other upside, but y'all been hearing about the upside for so long. The arm angles, the explosiveness, the all of it, man. He's good at football. We know Cam Ward's great. And to be honest with you, because I don't want to sound annoyed, I love that Cam Ward is getting the praise because, again, I was a Cam Ward guy. I was like, dog, this dude's go watch the videos, man. Hey, the history don't tell lies. Go watch them. Go watch my Miami videos about how exhilarating of a football thrower Cameron Ward is. I mean, just look at it. Look at this guy, man. And he's so comfortable. He's so effortless. He's rolling left, throwing right. I mean, come on, man. Come on. It's awesome. But before we go deeper into it, we do have to talk about Shady McCoy's take, because I didn't even see this. He said this April 7th, and we're going to also hear a reply from one of my favorite podcasts, at least one of my favorite. I wouldn't call it a football podcast, but it's through the lens of football. Raw Room, y'all probably watch it. They had an instant reaction to that, and then I'll yap about it too. So let's hear it.
Man, and no disrespect to Cam, but I'm not sure if I'm all the way sold on Cam Ward. I don't know, dog.
Why not?
I'm gonna say it again. I've never seen in the whole draft. There's been a lot of busts in these drafts, right? That got a lot of attention. I've never seen a player have 0 stars in high school be the #1 pick overall. I've never seen
He's
that.
yapping.
So high school stars.
It's talent.
Let me let the professionals answer first. I'm sorry.
Shady had a comment.
I'm not sure if I'm all the way sold on Cam Ward. I've never seen a player have 0 stars in high school be the #1 pick overall. I've never seen that.
Them stars don't mean shit.
Not a damn thing.
If you got 5, if you got 0, you got 2 or 1. 3, 4, bruh, it don't matter. Once you walk through that motherfucking door, you got to put them cleats to grass and belt to ass, or you're not going to be good, bro.
Between me, JC, and Bates, we've seen 5 stars that were trash.
Out of there in 1 semester. Gone.
And this 5 stars out of high school, you saying?
Yeah, out of high school, yeah.
Okay, high school. I didn't see like highly touted like transfers. You know what I'm saying? Big transfer recruits come in and not
garbage.
Not be who they supposed to be.
Yeah, Shady, we have to talk about what this old media is doing while they try to like latch on because nobody's watching the facility or whatever, or specifically not the actual show. I might watch it on YouTube, but not this show with Ocho and all these whatever. This is terrible. He's just blatantly just saying terrible picks now or terrible takes. And should I educate somebody who's blatantly just, being obtuse about stars? Like, come on, dog. Like, the name of the NFL game, and this is why this is like stupid, because if it came from a college person, from a college perspective, oh, okay, you watch a lot of college football, even though that take is dog shit, and you should probably never say that in front of other human beings that have watched NFL football or had know any history about NFL. Maybe you shouldn't, say that, but no big dealio, because you're a college guy. But Shady, being in the NFL, and maybe because he is in the NFL, there's a 3-letter word that I just don't want to spam. Maybe that's what's affecting him. I don't want to say that. I just think he's trying to get clicks. He's trying to generate views. He's trying to find, in the last dog days before the draft, when we all know Cam Ward's going to go #1. We've all seen Cam Ward's talent. We've all seen his arm. We've been absolutely gawking him off. Somebody has to be the contrarian. Somebody has to stand out. You know what? Cam Ward is ugly. There, I said it. He looks like that gay dude on TikTok, huh? Sorry, they were doing this weird thing on TikTok where they kept showing this like guy who was clearly had a boyfriend. Nothing wrong with that. Love who he loved, big fella. And like they kept showing videos of Cam Ward. That TikTok is interesting. Y'all be doing some weird stuff on TikTok. Very, very confusing. But sorry, I didn't come up with that. TikTok came up with that, Cam. But regardless, someone, I don't know. I hope y'all find that video. I'm not putting that video in here. I just want y'all to know. Y'all gonna have to find that TikTok. It made me uncomfortable. It made me very uncomfortable. Like I was saying, somebody has to say something that is the contrary to, oh my God, Cam Ward's so amazing and he's the first round pick. Especially if you want to get some views. So I think he did a decent job at that. He generated some views there. But if you want to actually have the conversation about it, like the highlights we were just watching, that Incarnate Ward, man, like that's really the bloodline of NFL football, right? HBCU players, undrafted players, Puka Nakua's, Antonio Brown coming from smaller schools. And I'm not sure how many stars they had in particular, but just looking at it from the NFL lens, why would stars matter if in the NFL, dog, rounds don't even matter in the NFL? Like, so, like, you could be a 3rd round, 5th round. I mean, Thomas Brady. I mean, what do y'all, like, what conversation are we having right now? So hey, you got to get your takes off. So get your takes off. How about we just watch Cam Ward throw the football a little more? How about that, huh? Look at it. Look at the bounce. Look at the smoothness. I tell you what, that boy slings the ball. I know I've been doing a lot of like, Cam Ward this, Cam Ward that on the negative side. And I know I did a little bit of defending there just because, Shady wanted to act like he needed a smaller bus to get to school. But Cam Ward, like I said, do not get it twisted, man. Cam Ward is an exhilarating player. The arm, the way that he can do it, the base, the arm angles, the no-look passes, the behind-the-back passes, like there's one thing to be good at football and to enjoy it or XYZ. But rather, there's one thing to be good at football, but Cam Ward isn't just good. He also seems to enjoy it. he also seems to find a lot of value positively out of it. And you know what I'm saying? He also wants to take that next level, it seems. So I think it's great to see from him. Now I thought I had one more video in here. Thought I had one more video in here. Oh, here it is. This is what we follow up for. So as of April 15, this is Ari Mirov kind of confirming, like we were talking about after Cam Ward, everyone in this draft would be closer to Spencer Rattler than they'd be to Bo Nix from last year's draft. Wow. So this is him having a draft guy, and we're closed out here.
How would you look at, from strictly as a prospect standpoint, how would you rank some of the quarterbacks in this year's class compared to last year where we had 6 guys in the top 12? Like, where would those guys fall from last year's prospects?
Yeah, so I think Cam Ward would have been firmly in that mix last year. I think you would have had some teams value him higher than like Bo Nix or J.J. McCarthy, the guys who were, 5th and 6th quarterbacks off the board there. I would have put him right in that range, quarterback 5. I think he's a darn good prospect. I think he has quite easily the best tools in this draft class. But after him, it's like the next guy would have probably been closer to Spencer Rattler than he would have been, Bo Nix on my board. I just think there is a big gap between Cam Ward and everyone else in this class. And that's kind of why you have this, even with quarterback needy teams at 2 and 3, while there's no like, oh yeah, they're for sure taking one of these guys. It's really, QB2 in this class could be, a late first, second round sort of pick.
The thing that's interesting about this is you do this year round, so you would know better. But when this process started for me back at the Combine in Indy, the conversation was Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. Was that just people who are not so well known in the draft saying that? Like, what has happened that Cam distanced himself so much? And the tight ends who are picking number 1, where there was talk of generational talent or trading out, got to this point where it's Cam and we're taking Cam and it's nobody else.
To me, it was always that way. I think some of that was obviously just the name. Shedeur Sanders, he's been talked about ever since he was at Jackson State, right? Like this guy has been a household name for a long time now, whereas Cam Ward really wasn't. And so if you weren't if you're just starting to catch up to the draft, you had already known Shedeur Sanders in January. You may not have, if you didn't follow college closely, really known Cam Ward. Obviously, he was a Heisman finalist, I believe, but he wasn't quite to that level just yet. But just you flip on the tape, and to me, it was pretty clear early on. It's like Cam has such better physical tools, but like his arm strength, even just his size, his mobility in the pocket. He's a high-end athlete, the kind of which that that's what goes number 1 overall, right? There's still the NFL, very rarely. I think Joe Burrow is probably the only one where he wasn't the traitsiest guy in that draft class, right? Usually the NFL goes towards the high-end physical tools first and then on-field performance second, with Cam Ward to get both. And so I think that's the biggest thing, is that he's probably, and why this class, I think you said there's no one that anyone loves. A lot of guys people like those because this class has played a ton of football, but they just don't have high-end tools.
Yeah, and I think that's where to kind of put the end there, because I kind of talked about how some of it seems like the only new digs that you could have at Shedeur to make him, again, the falling is what I'm specifically talking about, had to be possibly some on-field stuff, where with Cam Ward, I don't think you can do that as greatly. But I do think, like you said, the overexposure helps. But at the end of the day, I don't want to get twisted. Cam Ward that ceiling is above everything. We know who he's going to get. We know what he can do. So him being kind of out of the limelight, because he's also played a lot of football. So, I think that's an interesting way to kind of frame that. But hey, man, I think it's going to be interesting. I think Shedeur might shock some people where he goes, and that's going to be negative or positive. I think Jackson Dart is going to shock some people. But that's the name of the draft. But we know where Cam Ward's going to go. So comment down below. What do you think? Shedeur's going to be drafted. What do you think Cam Ward's going to be drafted? Who does your team want to pick up? Who should your team pick up? Like this video if you like it. Dislike if you don't like it. Subscribe if you enjoy football videos. We do college football. We do NFL. We do draft. We do NIL, transfer portal, all that fun stuff. So hit that bell icon and say locked in. You're great. So keep being great, man.